Hey guys, and welcome back to Deku Tarot and to your Scorpio full moon reading. So, May 7th, we have the full moon in Scorpio, the flower moon, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it is the last super moon or full moon, super moon of the year. I might be wrong about that, but I did read that somewhere. So we're going to go over the astrology, and we're going to use my Usi Pagan Otherworlds deck, yes, the special deck, for a deeper read really on this full moon. We're not going to pull a card for each sign. I just felt that this full moon warranted a much deeper and more comprehensive look at what's coming up, at what we're feeling, and what we really need to know and focus on in this Scorpio full moon. So if you haven't, do make sure to subscribe and check out your weeklies, guys. And let's just get right into this. So the sun is at 13 degrees of Taurus, and the moon, 17 degrees of Taurus, and the moon is also at 17 degrees of Scorpio. So the Taurus-Scorpio relationship, both of them being fixed sign, fixed water, and fixed earth, and being, the opposites of each other, their sister signs, they have a very deep relationship as fixed signs. They talk about transformation and about growth, transformation to become stronger, to become more stable by going through these more shadow and transformative experiences. So this Taurus-Scorpio relationship is really asking you to pause and really look at, how you've changed over this past year. Where were you at this point last year? How much have you changed? What decisions have you really made or have brought change into your life? Think about those pinnacle moments and about where you might be if you hadn't made those decisions, hadn't done those things. This full moon also asks you to really, first and foremost, simply bear witness. Bear witness to the emotions that are coming up here, the needs that you're feeling, the pain, whether it be yours or someone very close to you. And being really present in our knowing in these moments and knowing that it will pass through and that we can grow from these experiences. So if we are feeling pain and not really succumbing to the shadow, but instead bringing understanding and therefore clarity to it, we can use these really deep moments to grow. So far, no cards out, but I don't know about you guys. I've definitely been I'm feeling exhausted today. It's the day before the full moon. Sun's in, this is my sun season at being a Taurus sun. And Scorpio is my opposite sign. It's also my Pluto sign. So I always find that these full moons in Scorpio are very powerful for me. And they bring up a lot of depth of emotion and depth of feeling in certain areas. Let's pull a card here and see what's coming out. Ooh. One more. Let's get 3. Oh. Wow. Okay. We got 4, but what a story it is. All right. So let's go with the first 2 here. Page of Wands. And this is such a beautiful deck. Again, it's the Usi Pagan Otherworlds deck. I only really use it for my moon-based readings, my, full moon, new moon readings, and sometimes in private readings. But it's a really special, beautiful deck. I got it in Scotland. Check it out if you are into tarot decks. It's gorgeous. The Page of Wands is here, and it's the first one coming up here. And right after it comes up the 2 of Cups. And I don't think a lot of us are surprised that in this fixed water full moon, there's a lot of focus on relationship, on love, but not so much, I'm not just saying relationships with other people, your significant other who you're pining for, whatever it might be. It's also your relationship in terms of loving yourself. And this Scorpio full moon, yes, as it can be very destabilizing and maybe plunge you into shadow, what you need to be focusing on is the unifying aspect of love that can come from this. And needing to forgive yourself, to show yourself compassion and love without judgment, without punishing ourselves. And that's kind of the feeling I get with the Page of Wands and the 2 of Cups. Yes, we can be focusing on relationships and we can go down that very clear path here that the tarot is presenting, but to me this feels deeper and it expresses our need to love ourselves spiritually, to truly feel passion for what we're doing, and truly, you know, again, treat ourselves with kindness. The Page of Wands is the essence of fire, the essence of, you know, spirit, of passion, of communication, and it represents new beginnings, taking things in a new direction, learning how to love yourself more, learning how to give yourself that love and balance, or put that again into a relationship. But the most important aspect of that is the self-love, because that unifies love itself with others. You cannot go into a relationship, you cannot experience a truly heartfelt connection without first having that full cup of love for yourself. And I know I always say that, but it's very important. And I do think that this unifying aspect of self-love and compassion, and how that reaches out to others, how you can learn to act beautifully and kindly without limits, without limiting yourself, even, you know, actions towards yourself, you know, progress towards acts onto others in terms of how you express kindness, how you express love, how you express compassion. You are not an exception to this, okay? You don't need to punish yourself for whatever reason. And I think that the Scorpio full moon really is highlighting our self-punishment. The Tower does come up with the Six of Cups, and I can't help but feel in some aspects we are maybe hearing from exes, or maybe hearing from people who once took down a tower in our life. We could be thinking back on those experiences, back on those people, and how it really, again, imploded our life. And like I was saying at the beginning of this reading, looking back on the past year, maybe where you were at a year ago, what changed? We've all been through tower moments in the last year, and these are coming up and into our focus, into our feelings. We're re-feeling that. When the Six of Cups comes up, it does represent reconciliation, people coming back from the past. But for me, it's also, again, the emotions coming back from a past situation, the emotions felt from a tower situation. We're feeling those again. What did that feel like, you know, when we connected with that person? When we had that fight, when we broke up with so-and-so, when, you know, I quit my job, or I lost this situation, I lost this money, whatever happened, you know, you're re-feeling that and loving yourself despite it, treating yourself more kindly despite maybe mistakes that you've made, or things that you've perceived as a mistake that you've made, but in actuality needed to happen. There's no sense in, again, punishing, judging, shaming ourselves for the feelings that are coming up and what we're thinking about. We could be thinking about some very painful situations, losses. I know that many people have had very sudden deaths, losses in that very real sense this year. And we could be thinking about these moments of pain, not just there, but even farther back, and how that's propelled us to make certain decisions and set our fate in motion differently than we might have if these things hadn't happened. So let's talk a little bit about the aspects happening here. We have this opposition of Mercury and Taurus going on. And it really asks us again about communication. And where are we feeling more inspired to communicate? What is driving us? Fear? Is it a need or a desire for control? Or does it come truly from the heart? How can we express ourselves more creatively? And how can we be more true in our communications, a more grounded, real perspective? Pluto is also retrograding, and the North Node did just move into Gemini. And both of these really ask you to look around at your life path, really, your story, at a deeper level. And I definitely feel that coming up in these cards here. Wow. This is a really Scorpionic reading, that's for sure. I'd be surprised if we don't see the Death card, but I think that we've gotten pretty much the sum up of that with a bunch of other cards. Yeah, this is a time for rebirth. Rebirth of how we experience our emotions. what we allow ourselves to feel, and what controls us and holds us back from truly experiencing happiness, joy, the things that we want to experience. How our own fears, our own paranoia might drive us into a negative fears and very fantastical place here. And that also makes me think of, you know, we have this trine with Neptune and Pisces also happening. That's another water planet here. Very deep feeling. This full moon is going to be all about feelings, and I'm not surprised to see the Nine of Swords there and the Nine of Wands upright. Nine of Swords is reversed, and what's important to remember and what's important to realize and take the time to feel through during the Scorpio full moon is how you let your fears drive you, how you let that negative voice, your own shame, guilt, you know, what are you tying to yourself and not letting yourself swim free of? I'm just going to put it upright so you guys can see it, but this swan has a shackle around his neck and it's dragging him right down. That's not a safe place to be in. Eventually you will drown. You can't stay afloat thinking that way for much longer. And the Nine of Swords says this is what's dragging you down. This is what's preventing you from doing this. So Nine of Wands brings up the need to hold these boundaries within yourself, to stay strong and realize that you've fought through worse and you've come out the other side. Again, it has you looking at those moments, those challenges, and feeling through them again. Remember that you are a warrior, that you've battled through this, and that you've come out the other side, and that this is simply another test. And these things are simply coming up so that you can better tackle them emotionally moving forward. So Nine of Wands says, what do you have boundaries? You need to give yourself boundaries. I know that I talk about boundaries a lot with other people and how they push them and, you know, tell you this, tell you that. But Nine of Wands is in Nine of Swords here, reversed, to me is representing a lot about how we bully ourselves and how we overstep our own boundaries with ourselves, beating ourselves down, not allowing ourselves happiness, not allowing ourselves to believe in a hope, and not allowing ourselves to let go of certain judgments and, you know, almost hating on ourselves for past situations and past choices that we've made. It's time to let go of those blocks, of that voice in your head that keeps telling you, nah, you can't do this and you should, you know, all the things that keep you down. We all have those voices in our heads. We all have the part of us that tells us you can't do this and all those negative things. And Eight of Swords reverse really has you opening up. It's like eye-opening to the situation with the Hierophant reversed as well there and the Sun. You will see what you need to see as long as you're willing, again, like I said at the very beginning, to pause and really feel through this, to bear witness simply to these emotions coming up and feel through it, not get dragged down and taken to the shadow side by it, but to simply sit like a stone in a river and just let them wash by you. Feel what you need to feel, see what you need to see. And the Eight of Swords reversed says, by simply not trying to tackle these emotions, by not trying to name them, by not trying to judge yourself or push them away and, you know, I'll deal with this another time. I'm not going to feel this right now. I'm not going to write about it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to go distract myself with alcohol or eating or something like that. No, don't do that. This is saying with the Eight of Swords reversed, the Hierophant reversed, this asks you to take a different method moving forward. And with, you know, the Sun in Taurus, but also having Uranus in Taurus and the opposition with Mercury in Taurus, there's a lot of Taurus energy, but it's not normal. It asks change, a lot like you. When Uranus moved into Taurus, it simply became this, a bull in a china shop, and acts very much in that scorpionic way of transformation, of bringing ends to things, very sudden endings, very sudden beginnings, opportunity, and change. And the Hierophant says things can't go the tried and true way when it's reversed. We're not sticking to the groundwork that we've laid. We're looking at things from a different perspective and not closing ourselves off to a more open view of the situation and going about it in a less traditional way. And with the Sun at the very end of that, you know, you will see, to me, this is, you know, when the light gets turned on, when the sun is the ultimate light, and what it shines down is truth, happiness, and a sense of ease on a path forward, success, joy. You've pushed through this, and actually you should be proud of who you are now, how you've managed to fight through what you fought through, go through what you go through, and have grown from it. So the Sun says, be happier about it. Give yourself some love. You do deserve love. You do deserve to celebrate yourself. You do deserve to recognize how you have grown and to celebrate because of it, because you have pushed through and become a better, stronger person. You've adjusted, and this is a waning quarter moon here, or waxing quarter. I guess it depends on how you look at it, but let me get a sip of water. Waxing quarter moon. I really love, this is why I love to use this deck for all my lunar readings, because it has all of the moon phases in it. And when I see this, I always think of adjustment. You can only adjust to go one way or the other here a little bit, and you're kind of at that crossroads. We can get too stuck in the shadow, but we can also get stuck in the light. Or we can look at it from both perspectives and feel our way through and see what the best path forward is and appreciate both for what they are. You cannot appreciate one without the other, is what this feels like, and Scorpio brings that up. You cannot really truly feel the light without feeling that darkness, without feeling that pain, that sense of destruction, of being at your lowest, of having the rug ripped out from under your feet. The King of Cups is here. Before I pull any more, let's talk about him a little bit, because that's the card of Scorpio. See that little tiny boat way off in the distance? It's floating just fine. The waters aren't, raging. They're not going crazy. He's relaxed. He's got a cup full of compassion, not just for others, but for himself, of love for himself, of matured emotion and how we deal with it, how we communicate, again, with emotion, how we recognize and then move forward in a better way with how we're feeling. How we react really emotionally is how we're shifting here to situations. We can feel through it, but we don't have to react in an emotional and a destructive way. We can learn from it, adjust from it, mature. I love it. Oof. Okay. This is looking very good. Wow. And that was what I was waiting for, one to pop out naturally. And I'll save that one for the end. Let's talk about the first two that came out here. Ace of Wands, new beginnings. A passionate new beginning, a new beginning that is in your spirit. I often see the Ace of Wands as taking on a new opportunity, having something be presented to you and grabbing, the bull by the horns and riding it into the sunset. The Ace of Wands says all the opportunity to do that is there. All you have to do is grab it. The Ace of Wands gives you refreshed perspective. It is free of all the burdens of, the Ten of Wands, which is, the ultimate when you're carrying everything. When you get to the Ace there, that's a fresh beginning. You just have one wand. Where will you take it? Are you going to accumulate them, or are you going to keep yourself light, free, and happy? What will you take in your spirit as you push forward here? Seven of Pentacles, are you going to hold on to all those things that haven't grown to where you want them to, all the things that haven't reached those impossible goals that you have? Are you going to appreciate how much they've grown so far and how much you've grown so far, what you've been able to accomplish? Because every failure, every loss, everything that you can perceive as a negative outcome can also be perceived as a positive one, because it does, failures pave the path to success. You have to learn. And learning isn't always an easy, fun thing. I don't know why people think that. We would love it to be that way, but it's not. It requires hard work, effort, time, energy, your physical labor. And it has to be a physical labor of love. And that's what's really important to remember here. And if you're not coming from a place of love, and you're instead coming from, I'm going to hold on to my belief that, I'm a failure and I always will be, then you will be. But you can't let these feelings drown out all this positive growth that you can appreciate and see in yourself. This Scorpio full moon really asks you to let all that go and accept that things have changed, that the wheel is turning, and it can come in your favor, and it will. You have to let things go on. There's a sense of unfolding fate here on this Scorpio full moon that asks you to look at all those negative things and how they were helpful to you in terms of getting where you're going and learning what you've learned, and where will you take this now. Things are changing. When you have Taurus season and a Scorpio full moon, I always feel that way. I mean, really, in any fixed sign season, when they get the fixed sign full moon, it's powerful. It definitely heralds change. It heralds a shift in the wheel. Things unfolding in a larger sense, and we need to be more at peace to welcome these things in and more open. Okay? So, wow, the Scorpio full moon was a very powerful reading. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This was really fun. Do check out your weeklies, and do make sure to subscribe if you haven't. If you guys didn't know, I am taking 20% off of all of my readings right now. So if you do want to book a reading, check out my description box below. All the info is there. And I am working with this awesome company called Truly Divine. They do amazing astrology, numerology, analysis, and compatibility charts. They're just incredible. So do check them out, guys. You can use my code Deku30 for 30% off of anything that you get through them. You can also use it multiple times. There's no limit. And you can share it to as many people as possible. And they can also use it as many times as they want. So check that out, guys. I was so impressed by their compatibility analysis and their numerology analysis. It was like mind-blowing. So do check them out. And again, that's in my description box below. And have a wonderful and blessed full moon in Scorpio, guys. All right. Thank you.